Live on YouTube. Monday Night Knicks Training Camp Eve. And Training Camp Eve marks the start of Knicks Media Day, which kicked off today. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to give you our highlights and reactions to Knicks Media Day 2021. Another edition of Knicks Fan TV Live presented by Manscaped. If you're a diehard Knicks fan or a basketball fan, hit that subscribe button below and the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. CP the Franchise here checking in. My guy JD Sports Talk on the other side. JD, how you feeling, bro, on this Monday? What's going on, bro?
Feel great. I feel great. Media Day is here.
Media
And
Day,
you
man.
know what that means?
Yeah.
We're 1 inch closer to Knicks basketball. And Media Day is always a positive day.
Yeah.
Everyone is feeling good about their teams. Everyone is starting from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this team is definitely an interesting team. We have some good players, returning players, some new players, and we have some newfound expectations. So I can't wait
Yeah.
for the first practice reports and for the first preseason game.
One of the most anticipated media day, one of the most anticipated seasons in I think 10 years. I was talking to Alan Hahn about it, and not since maybe 2012-13 has there been a Knicks season that the fans are actually looking forward to, with high expectations. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but we're going to have to see how it plays out over 82 games, bro.
Yeah, and there's so many headlines with this team. I think I agree with Alan's assessment. To me, is the same thing, same year. But this team specifically, you have so many headlines, so many stories with some of their homegrown players in terms of what's going to happen next in their development.
Yeah.
You're talking about some players returning from injury. What's going to happen there. You're talking about a player like Mitchell Robinson who's playing under a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Julius Randle. Like there's so many questions that we're excited to find out what is going to be the end result. This is year 2 now of Leon Rose's tenure. So that's another storyline in terms of seeing, how he is slowly building this team and where that's going to be headed. I think this is a very important year for him as well, because, with some of the decisions he made in the offseason in terms of, keeping status quo, with some of the signings that he made, it's going to be interesting to see if that was the correct move. This is
Yeah.
a year-to-year type thing, and you know how it is. This is a year with high expectations. So, I know he's hoping that the Knicks come through, and I think they will.
Well, one of the things, I think the front office kind of kicked off their own media day by coming out on Friday and talking to the media. And, fans were kind of surprised because, the Jay from Floridas, they get tight because you don't get to hear from Leon. But Leon did finally appear and came out. And one of the main things he said was, they went for stability. They went for continuity. Two of the things that I feel like was missing from this franchise for a number of years, and that's very important to me from a team building standpoint, from a player development standpoint, chemistry. I think that emphasis that they're putting on and laying the foundation, it was critical, man, and it was evident last year.
Yeah, and I told you that when we heard the news, it came out of nowhere that Leon, we just started seeing tweets of quotes, and I'm like, wait, am I missing something? Oh,
Yeah.
Leon Rose is talking. That's breaking news in itself.
Yep.
And I think one of the interesting things he said was that he wants to create a culture and environment to where other players are going to say, oh, we want to play there. I thought that was interesting because, I mean, we've speculated that is one of the goals that they've set out as a front office, is to, change the culture. But it also tells me that, he is looking ahead at remaining aggressive. Because if he's trying to set out a goal in terms of trying to be an attractive destination for other players, in my mind, what that tells me is he has his sights on his big move that's probably going to define his tenure here.
No question.
I doubt that this will, this 15-man roster right now is going to be the end result when the Knicks are in that championship contention. So I thought that was interesting that he said that. And I thought it was very positive, some of the encouraging words he said about RJ. He was very encouraged by his development. He's looking forward to Obi Toppin and quickly in year 2. He called them gym rats.
Yeah.
And so, Leon Rose, I think to me, the biggest takeaway is he is still looking to remain aggressive, which tells me they're just being patient. And he alluded to, just wanting to make the right move and wanting to be smart. And if we look at the way some money was given this offseason, and if we look at, even some news today, it looks like every day with, Robert Williams and some of these contracts that were given out this offseason, it looks like Leon Rose may have made, the right move
Yeah.
and kind of, remaining with the same players and just waiting for the right opportunity to present itself.
I think so, man. Now, one of the things that caught the fan base off guard in Leon's comments was that Mitchell Robinson still has not been cleared to play just yet. So, the fan base was in a frenzy over that comment. Obviously, Rose is saying, we're confident in Noel. We're confident in Taj. With Mitch, we're just going to have to wait and see. Basically, we're just going to have to wait and see. So the reports have kind of been varying. Berman then came out and said, the doctors he spoke to says Mitch should be fine. It's just a precaution. They're just kind of taking things slow with him, which I think is the right approach. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be ready. But, yeah, take your time, man. Make sure that Mitch is ready to go because we want to see him get as close to a full 82 as he can. We just know the way he's built, it's going to be a little bit difficult. So just make sure he's ready to go.
Yeah, and I mean, I know a lot of the attention early is going to be on Kemba Walker and seeing what if there is any plan of managing his minutes and game to game. We may be looking at Mitchell Robinson, the younger player, getting more attention in that
Facts.
department because the Knicks are being extra careful, and I think a lot of it is it's just a little bit of everything. Number one, he's a tall player. He's playing the center position. He's an athletic guy. You want to put him in the best position for him to have a long career. Even if you don't foresee him being part of the future as an organization, this is part when we talk about building relationships and having a good reputation. Part of it is also how you treat your players even when they leave and they go to other teams. What was that experience like? So I think the Knicks number one priority for Mitch Robinson to start out is to make sure that his health is on point. And then who knows, maybe they manage him more than Kemba in terms of when you saw the way that the playoffs materialized and how we needed him then. I would have signed up for 50 games,
Yeah.
whatever, as long as I know that I'm going to have my defensive anchor in, crunch time in the playoffs, I would have signed up for that. So I personally think it's just being extra careful. A lot of people talk about how he's just a little bit, just different with his movements, the way that he walks and all this stuff. Is he injury prone? I don't know. But the Knicks are, in my opinion, extending extra precaution. And I guess we'll never find out what is their real relationship with him because, as you mentioned, I thought it was interesting that, from day one, they're talking about Taj Gibson and Noel, and they're just putting that out there. Last year when they did that, I thought it was to motivate him, right? There's a lot of talk about maturity and stuff. This year now, is it the same thing? Are they employing the same strategy with Mitch? They want to take care of him, but I
Yeah.
also think they want him to remain motivated so that they
Yeah.
can get the best out of him in a contract year.
Yeah. And listen, I said this last year media day. I said it to the fan base. I said they were concerned about the kid's maturity. Everybody got on me. Oh, you don't know anything. The front office keeps a tight lid. Blah, blah, blah. Who's leaking? All right. CP told you what it is. Alan Hahn came on. What Alan Hahn say? It's from the neck up is a concern. Okay. So I'm a fool. But all I know is that he's in a contract year. It's a very important year for him. He's come back. He's put the muscle on. Let's make sure he's healthy from top down. You know what I mean? Especially between the ears. And let's go. Mitch is my guy, man. I'm rolling on it. I'm rolling with Money Mitch. But at least we do have the depth in Noel and Taj that we can go to. We got Sims on the two-way. So let's see where they go from there. So let's get to the sound bite. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. I want to shout out Junior Caroma. JD sends a super chat. He says, salutes CP the Don. Salute JD. Man, I need to check into some kind of therapy after the Giants season. LMAO. Thank God the next season is around the corner and the Yankees are good. I'm telling you, bro. That's all. That's the only reason I'm in a good mood today, bro. Because, and we'll get to those bums later. But all I gotta say is I went to the Meadowlands yesterday with the intention of saluting Eli and throwing dirt on the grave of the New York Giants season, and I accomplished just that. Because I got what I expected. I got my money's worth. But we'll get to them later on and close the show. Absolute disgrace what's going on, man. But shout out Junior. Nevertheless, JD, let's get to media day, and Julius was first up, man. So let's hear Julius's comments to start off. I'm gonna go to Julius's comments. He was asked about the Hawks series, about what he learned from the Hawks series. So let's hear what Julius has to say here.
The Atlanta series, now that you've had a summer to reflect on it, what did you take away from that series? What did you learn from that experience as being a number one guy in a playoff series you can apply to this year?
I mean, it was a good experience. It was fairly a simple series that, I felt like, for me particularly, just overcomplicated.
How was your offseason? Did you do anything differently? I know you.
And just make sure I get the work that I need to get done.
Well, hey, Bill, when you said it was kind of overcomplicated that Atlanta scene, what do you mean by that?
Just going back watching the film. I just felt like there was a lot of simpler things that I could have made the game way more simple. And part of that just was me being me, putting a lot on my shoulders, and not making the moment bigger than what it was, but just me, wanting to be great in that moment. So, like I said, I just felt like I overcomplicated. Looking back at the film, it was simple, and I'm excited to, be in that position again.
So he said he overcomplicated things, JD. It was a simple series. He just overcomplicated things. What you think about Julius's comments there in the Hawks series?
I think it was, the comment that he said when he said, I wanted to be great in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Him saying that, it goes to show you how in that moment, he wanted to be the savior. Like, he wanted to be the guy. You're talking about a guy that all season had the team on his shoulders, had all the accolades, was getting all the praise, and it was a big moment for the franchise. That's a lot of weight on your shoulders, going into a series that many people wanted that matchup.
Yeah.
And so I think when the season's over, he's thinking, I've had a great year. Now it's time to put the cherry on top and let me perform in the playoffs. And he wanted to continue that and be the guy. And listen, some players, they're in a situation like Julius, who's our best player, and he probably wanted to elevate into that status. Everybody, when the playoffs comes, is that moment. Everybody thinks about that. It becomes more mental, in my opinion. And I think there you could tell that once he had that first bad game, everything else in his mind was still there. And that's when the whole overcomplicated things come into play next, because you have a team that schematically strategizing against you. And here is Julius still thinking about, I want to be the guy. I want to be great. Sometimes when you think the game too much, you're out there and you're playing five guys on the other court, but somehow they look like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Because you have so much going in your mind. And I think him acknowledging that, to me, is a positive, acknowledging it from day one and letting everyone know, listen, I overcomplicated things. I wanted to be great. And to me, that's a positive sign, because he is identifying where he felt he was short in the playoffs, and he's hoping to turn that around this season. And he said he's looking forward to getting another opportunity, hopefully this season.
He owned up to it. He owned up to it. He choked. Let's just keep it a buck. He choked. I was there from games 1 through 4. I had a great seats in 1 and 2 where I could literally see his face, his facial expressions from beginning to end. And I wasn't encouraged, bro. From the first quarter, I'm like, he don't look right. He looked out of sorts. I thought the crowd really took the whole team out of sync. Really, I mean, you went from having 2,000 fans in the stands to 22,000. The building was upside down and electric, bro. So I thought the pressure was a lot for him. Combine that with the fact that, let's face it, Nate McMillan's game plan was great against the Knicks, because all of the hard shots that Julius hit during the regular season, and he was in his bag. Let's keep it a buck. He won that most improved player. His shooting off the bounce was electric. Okay, 24 points a game, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. Nate McMillan said, you know what? We're going to live with those. Make or miss, we'll live with those. We know Noel's not going to hurt us. They shadowed him with Capella, which was an excellent game plan, and they made the rest of the team beat us. And we just did not have, on top, compounded the fact that Julius was bricking, we didn't have enough shot makers. We had Rose, we had Burks in game one, and that was it. We had nothing else. So I wouldn't, for him to say it was simplistic. I mean, look, I can't question, what he saw out there because obviously he's playing. But from the outside looking in, to me, we lost to a well-oiled machine. So I wouldn't say it was all simplistic. I think they were just a better team. But nevertheless, the point is for him to rebound from it. Players had bad playoff series in their debut. I think he's a guy that continues to work, continues to get better, and I hope he capitalizes on it.
Right. And another thing he mentioned is, one of the things he's worked on is just playing faster and making quicker decisions. I think a lot of Knicks fans are happy to hear that because not only as a personal thing in terms of him getting better as an individual player, but he's going to have to show that with this new roster, with playing with Kemba, playing with Fournier. He's going to have to play faster. He's going to have to make quicker decisions because now you're trying to develop that chemistry with, two new starters and the team returning. As some of the other comments that came through, the Knicks want to shoot more threes. They're looking to shoot more threes this year. So, you look at that and you look at Randle, I believe he's still going to be in many situations where teams are still going to double him because, if he duplicates this season, at the end of the day, he's a key component to a defense. If you're if you're strategizing against the Knicks and Randle is playing like he did last season in the season, he is still the guy that you want to stop. Yeah. And in the end, you probably want to say, well, we're gonna let the Knicks beat us with jump shots. We're gonna force them to shoot more threes. Tibbs is a guy that they say they want to shoot more threes. We're gonna force him to. So that'll be very important for him. I'm looking forward to seeing if he actually does improve in making quicker decisions. And I think that's why he probably said it was a simple series because he's probably looking at it, the way that he was double teamed. Everybody that's watching on TV, it looks easy. Like, hey, just give it to that guy or pass it to the open guy. And that's probably how he saw it. So, I'm looking forward to seeing, some of the improvements in year two. It's a very, very critical year for him, in my opinion.
Big time. And you spoke about losing Bullock and Payton. Here's Julius on losing those guys and the acquisition of Kemba and Reggie Bullock. Hang on 1 second. This is the 3:55 mark.
Kemba and Evan come in, and in particular what they bring offensively.
Yeah, obviously losing Elford and losing Reggie, those are two huge pieces for us last year. They did a lot for our team. Those guys had the toughest assignments on defense every night. And they were tremendous for us. And not only that, they were great teammates. Those guys are like brothers to me, so it was tough losing them. Evan and Kemba, those are guys that you really got to account for on that offensive end. They can shoot and score the ball and make plays. And our biggest thing is we have to continue to lock up every night and play defense. So I'm excited about them. They're obviously two experienced veteran players who have accomplished a lot in this league, and I think they'll be great for us.
All right, so with the additions of Kemba and Fournier, like you said, man, they want to shoot the three ball more. That's Tibbs' emphasis. Actually, that was D. Rose that said that. But, just automatically just having Kemba and Fournier on the team, you're going to expect them to take more no matter what the scheme is next year.
Yeah, and, I thought it was he showed a lot of class and support of his former teammates, saying that they were huge, players and losses, and obviously giving credit to new players. But I actually like that he gave a lot of props to Bullock and Elfrid Payton. He understands a lot of the heat that Payton caught from Knicks Nation, but he also realizes that they were a big part of his season too. Like that was the team that had a big year. Like we're in a position today, in large part with their contributions at some point of this in the season, especially Reggie Bullock. So I like that from him. You talk about, Randall being a leader. I like that he showed class and he showed support. And he's excited about the new players, and that's going to be one of the first things I'm looking for is how does Randall mesh with Kemba and Fournier? These are two other ball handlers, two players that can facilitate, two players that at times are going to have the ball in their hands and they're gonna, make plays. And
Yeah.
how does Randall fit into that in terms of spots on the court? Will they play more pick and roll? Will he pick and pop, or will he pick and roll to the basketball with Kimba? There's a lot of interesting dynamics here, and I think he's excited to see how that plays out. So are we.
Yeah, the chemistry is going to be one to watch, no doubt about it. Because as you said, with Kemba and Fournier, you now have two guys who can create on their own and are gonna command a bit higher usage, especially Kemba. So how does that impact where Julius is, as you said, on the floor, the overall chemistry of the offense? I mean, you would think with these two guys being veterans, they shouldn't skip a beat, but I think there will be some growing pains maybe in the beginning, to make sure everybody's on the same page. So going to be interesting to see how Tibbs manages it, how Julius manages it, and Kemba as well. All right, so that was Julius on Kemba and Fournier. Let's there. Julius was asked about the minutes, leading the league in minutes. He was leading the league with about 36 minutes a game. So let's hear what he had to say there.
Continue doing, or would you like to get a little bit less load?
It doesn't bother me at all. It's whatever Tibbs needs from me, and that's what I'm willing to do. I think that what I put my body through in the summer and the training that I do allows me to do that. So it didn't bother me at all last year, and how I continue to take care of myself and the maintenance that I do on day to day in the season as well, in off season. So I'll be ready for whatever he needs me to do.
We'll take two more.
No issues on the minutes restriction. I don't know a player in the NBA, JD, that complains about too many minutes though. You know what I mean? I'll take that back because Jimmy Butler, when he was with Minnesota, there were some rumblings that he was a little bit, concerned with the heavy minutes usage. He quoted as saying, "No, this is crazy," or something to that nature in terms of his playing time. So I take that back. There were players that played on the Tibbs that did have an issue with it. Jeff Teague as well in Minnesota, but Julius seems to be all right with it.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, he signed a new contract, so you better not worry about minutes right
Yeah,
now.
facts,
You're
facts.
you're locked and loaded. You're good. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Butler was heading towards the latter end. So sometimes players, it's a business. So you're juggling business also with performance. And listen, Randall will be 27 on November 29th.
Mm-hmm.
So he's about to enter his prime, and he probably understands that this season, if everything goes well and the team is healthy, I don't know that he'll play exactly the same amount of minutes. But then yet again, it is Tom Thibodeau. Tibbs will be looking to win,
Yeah.
and he is, he is our best player. So I think it's more of now a mindset thing with him. He had that first experience last year, and he was relatively healthy. So
Yeah.
that's why I actually do believe him because he's had that experience. He came out well. And now he's going into year two with Thibodeau, and he's probably thinking, hey, listen, I got the new contract. I'm feeling good. Got the financial setup. I got new players, so the roster improved. This is year two. There's more expectations. He's probably looking at it from a leader standpoint. We talk a lot about his relationship with Kobe in the past and him improving that, getting some mental toughness. So I think it's just for him, it's just a mental thing. He's just mentally preparing himself. But if I'm the Knicks, I would, just here and there. In other words, like there were situations last year, CP, where we're up 16 with like 2 minutes to go, and Randall's still out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try to save a few minutes here and there as much as you can.
Yeah.
That's all I'm.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That is fair, man. There would be some times where you just like, the game is out of reach one way or the next. What is the point? save him a couple of minutes here or there. We're now going into an 82-game season, rather 72. It was a shortened off-season, which he also spoke about in the media day session, just trying to keep his body right during the shortened off-season. So, those are certainly things to consider. Embrace the depth, Tibbs. The Obi Hive is out there right now, JD. The Obi Hive is trying to figure out a way to get their guy in the game. So we'll see what happens, man. But I think he'll still be at the top of the league. He's our guy. He's our workhorse, and Tibbs is going to treat him as such.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, because in the playoffs there were some rumblings within the Knicks fan base. Some people said maybe it was fatigue. Did he run out of gas? Was it physical?
Yeah.
So do you think it was more physical, and maybe there is something to it in terms of the minutes, and it caught up to him, or was it just everything else you said in terms of we just played a better team, the crowd, the mental thing?
Yeah.
Do you think it was more mental or physical with him in terms of his performance?
I think it was more mental, man. I think every player at that stage is going through the grind. You know what I mean? It's hard to really say whether it was a physical thing when he played 71 out of 72 games. He only missed the one game with the thigh contusion, which was an accidental thing. Peyton ran into him and he missed the game. I will say that I felt like the West Coast trip late in the season, I think it did hurt us, man. I think the push to make the 4th seed, which included the West Coast trip, and then coming back to play Charlotte, the Spurs, and then finishing with the Celtics, I think it did take a toll on the team, honestly. I still think the Hawks are better. I don't think we would have won either way, but I think that late push, especially that Laker game, man, going into overtime, you came back, Rose couldn't even make it for the first game back at a home stretch. I think that did. I think that did some damage for sure.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I believe I believe him when he said today that he's ready. He's not worried about it. Shout out to Ashley. Ashley asked him, in her interview with him, and she joked with him to say, Tibbs is not going to rest you. So he had a laugh, and he said he's ready for it. So, I agree with you, and I do believe it was more mental. And let's see what happens this season.
Let's see, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CPJD Sports Talk here, reacting to the highlights of Media Day. I see Ice Water and Fredo waiting on the lines. We're going to get to them. We're going to get to the phone calls. We're going to go to RJ next. But before we do so, JD, we got to find out who's coming with us to the Knicks home opener against the Spurs. The official tickets for the KnicksFanTV, Knicks Omni fan event are sold out. We sold over 100 tickets. We kept reading up. People kept coming. We ran out. People asked for more. We got more. We ran out. People asked for more. We got more. And then we ran out again. So what ended up happening is my guys at Forzano Law said, CP, we want in on the action. We're going to send 4 Knicks fans to the game, to the home opener on October 20th. We're going to send them to your pregame show, the pregame party hosted by yourself, the Girls of Knicks Omni Fan, and JD Sports Talk at Mustang Harry's. And then we're going to go to the Garden to watch the game. They're going to be eligible for exclusive prizes and giveaways, including an autographed Julius Randle basketball most improved player signed by the man himself, authentic, no Fulton Street knockoffs, with the case and everything. A fantastic deal. So what you guys need to do to enter is go to KnicksFanTV.com. You're going to see the pop-up for the home opener. Sign up, and that's it. We're going to announce the winners after the Knicks versus Pacers game on October 5th. On the edition of Knicks Post Game Live. So make sure you sign up for it. Don't miss it. That is once again sponsored by my guys at Forzano Law Firm, personal injury attorneys. And Knicks fans, if you guys have been injured in a car accident, construction accident, slip and fall, trip and fall, nursing home incident, my guys at Forzano Law can help you on the road to monetary compensation. Ask for my guys Anthony or David. Call them up, 718-372-1397. You're going to get a free consultation and free representation unless you get paid. You can also go to ForzanoLaw.com for a 24-hour live assistant. And if you want to go to the office in person, it's 271 Avenue U in Brooklyn. That's 1 block away from the F train. So once again, shout out my guys Anthony and David from Forzano Law, personal injury attorney. Diehard Knicks fans, and shout out to them for sponsoring this exclusive giveaway. So make sure you guys go and sign up. All right, so we did Julius. Let's hear from Broadway. Let's hear from Broadway Barrett next on his media day. I gotta ding the team on this media day fiasco though, JD. One of the most anticipated seasons in history, and not one tweet, not one bat signal, one shout out as to where the fans could watch it. No one knew. Everyone's on Twitter like, where is it? Where is it? It's not on the Knicks YouTube. It's not on KnicksFanTV. We weren't invited. Separate issue. Finally, by the time it's a half hour into it, it's on ESPN. Not one notification of where to find the press conference, one of the most anticipated seasons of all time. Can't make it up, bro.
They were having such a great off season.
Yeah.
The PR team. I even tweeted them out after the Kemba press conference.
Yeah.
I thought it was an outstanding job that they did. The way that they handled everything there, and
Yeah.
they've stepped up their game. And then today we have to find out through some tweet that you found and you retweeted, and that's the only way we found out.
Dropped the ball, man. Completely dropped the ball, man. But that's another thing for another day. Sour grapes, just a little small thing. You know what I'm saying? Just a little thing. All
But
right.
this is what happens, CP, when expectations go up, right?
Yeah.
Like you pay attention to everything.
Yeah,
That's
we're
what we're
paying
doing
attention.
now.
The fans, we're looking all over the place. The last place we thought we'd have to go look was ESPN 3, the Ocho. You know what I'm saying? All to dig for this thing. But nevertheless, that was their choice. It is what it is. All right, so here was RJ's media session, and he was asked about what he thought about the incoming team. So let's hear from RJ.
Very excited.
RJ, how much of a difference has a year made just in terms of now you've been able to work with the younger guys who come in, be working with your current teammates, etc., without the COVID restrictions? Like heading into this year, do you guys feel like you're more prepared, more ready?
I think that you could definitely feel that there's been a base, there's been a foundation set, and just trying to build off that. We're a team that we have our head down and we just work. So if we continue to do that, then the outcome will usually be okay.
With your offseason, there was no summer league, obviously, but what were some of the things you were working on and doing that you may not live on?
Really just working on my shooting, just working on threes and certain shots that I need to be able to hit. So yeah, just being able to kind of recreate what I did last year and add on to that.
All right, so he once again talked about JD the foundation. This is the culture here, man. Leon is preaching, Tibbs is preaching. The organization is on the same page. RJ talked about laying that foundation, that culture, the stability is very important. But he also spoke on the fact that what he's working on, the shots that he couldn't hit in the past, i.e., the pull-ups, the pull-up jumpers, shooting off the bounce, shooting off the dribble. Very important. In fact, going into the season, he shot effective field goal percentage of 35% on pull-ups on 2.7 attempts. In the playoffs, it was 60, but it was only one attempt a game. So, I mean, that's really a low number. Catch and shoots, on the other hand, 60% effective field goal percentage on 4 attempts. In the playoffs, 37% on 5.4 attempts. So, kind of gives you an idea of the struggles on both categories of shooting for RJ throughout the season and the playoffs. But off the dribble is really where he wants to take that next leap, man. And we've seen it. We've seen it all summer from him, from the Olympics to the workouts. That's what he's working on, man. And he's been looking pretty decent. Hopefully he can translate into the game.
Yeah, and I'm confident that he's going to show improvement in areas that he is still, in areas that he's still looking to improve. And I mean, the biggest sign of that, and it's the only sign that I can go for, is what he just did last year, from his rookie season. I mean, he made outstanding jumps, from the free throw line, from the 3-point line. Everywhere you look, he made a big leap statistically from year 1 to year 2. And, last year as a 20-year-old, a lot of his weakness was his shooting, and for him to make those jumps and go from 32% 3-point shooting to 40%, from 40 to 44, and at the free throw line from 61 to 74%, you're asking a 20-year-old to do that in year two. Usually, CP shooting, it's not something that someone improves that much in just one off season. It's a gradual thing for a player that doesn't have that as a strength. So that indicates to me that one, he has a good program, he has a good trainer. Shout out to Drew Hanlon, uh, and he wants to be great. Like he wants to get better. So I think he has all the tools and qualities to continue to ascend. And he looks like he's looking forward to it. I loved, one quote that he said that got me really excited is when he said, being a two-way player is something I've always strived for. It's how I want to be known. I'm all for the challenge and I won't back down. It's how I want to be known. That tells you that this is a personal goal of his. When you talk about Kawhi, you talk about Paul George, you talk about a lot of these players that are known as two-way players. It's exciting for a Knicks fan that your own homegrown talent is also looking at defense. He's looking at the other side of the court, and he wants to become elite. And guess what, CP? When you look at this roster construction, he may need to be elite because we no longer have Reggie Bullock. We no longer have Elfrid Payton, who I know he gets a lot of flack, but he was still 6'4", and you could still play matchups. RJ is going to have to step up and take some of those tough defensive assignments. And I love his mentality and attitude going into it as a 21-year-old. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Absolutely, man. And yeah, that was.
And he showed his young side. He shows a lot of maturity. He's very level-headed, but he showed his young side walking out of the podium. And if you saw it, he said, "Oh my God!" Once he saw Kemba, which goes to show you that he's still young and he's still living the moment. I mean, he was starstruck by Kemba. Who knows? That could have been the first time he saw Kemba. Kemba came in the offseason, and these guys are in different cities working out. Today might have been the first time he met Kemba. So I thought that was also interesting. It showed his youth, and I thought that was good. That was cool.
True story. Yeah, that was actually the second soundbite on the defense is what I was going to go to. So I'll skip that. But look, the tough assignments is going to be his, man. And we talked about in the division, Harden, KD. Whether Simmons is there or not, Tobias Harris, you have the Jalen's, you have Brown, you have Tatum. Just in the division alone, you have, who's going to be on Siakam and Scotty Barnes, who showed out in the summer league. I mean, you go on and on and on throughout the East and the West. The wings, he's going to have to guard those guys, and on the other side, hopefully we're looking for a bit more evolution in his game. Continuing on the upward momentum from his sophomore season when he shot the lights out of the ball, man. I think he was one of the best three-point shooters in the league in the second half. He shot about 45% from three. So after starting 0 for 20 from downtown, I mean, remember that terrible start, man. After that game in Toronto, that New Year's Eve game, it was just despair and depression, man, because we just thought that this kid is the same as his rookie year, and he's just not going to get better. But he really turned it around. And I just thought it was interesting just reading Vork's article in The Athletic when he spoke about the fact that, Fizdale was really the one who changed RJ's shot in his rookie season. They didn't like the way he came in and the adjustments that he and Hanlon made. And so maybe that attributed to the lousy shooting performance in the rookie year. They throw Fizdale out of there like Jazzy Jeff. He goes back in the lab with Drew Hanlon, and now all of a sudden he's on the money again. So very interesting, man. Player development, bro.
And if that is in fact one of the reasons, then that just gets me more. First of all, it frustrates me more. And it goes to show you about the Fizdale era. But it also gets me excited about the future, because if it was a mechanical thing, then that means he's only had 1 year in this, under these new mechanics.
Right. I think we lost you. Lost your audio. Nah.
Good.
Good now.
Yeah. So I was saying that, if it goes to show you the Fizdale era, if it was in fact the mechanics of the shooting, But that also gets me excited about, year two under these newfound mechanics,
Yeah.
because that means that last year he was shooting with, some adjustments to his shooting mechanics, and now he's going into year two. So it
Year
actually
three.
gets
Year
me
three.
excited about, yeah, but year two under these
Oh, I
mechanics.
got you. Got you. Got you. Got you.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Got you.
So that's what I'm
Yep.
saying. It gets me excited about, the future of his development.
For sure.
And even before, the Toronto stuff, you remember the preseason game against the Pistons where he shot that air ball?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he started
Yeah.
like 0 for 4, and everybody was already tweeting on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
RJ has started this, and you show the videos going viral of that air ball that he
Mm-hmm.
shot from three, and everybody was calling him a bust and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
G League.
you know, G
Shout out
League and
around
all this.
Cleveland.
It was wild. So, let's relax a little bit as we see this preseason. A lot of these players are going to go into that first game of preseason to work on some stuff. So, but I'm excited about RJ, man. I love his mentality. I love his mindset. And hey, and you were talking about the wing players. I also think one guy that he has circled on his calendar is DeAndre Hunter, because we
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
during that series, if you watch closely, they were talking a lot of trash to each other.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hunter was talking a lot to him every time he made a basket. DeAndre Hunter made a lot of tough baskets on RJ.
Yeah. It's a tough
And
matchup for him.
right. And so, he's talking about getting better on defense. I'm sure, we talk about the rivalry and all those, all that stuff. I'm sure he can't wait to
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
the Hawks and kind of get, some revenge there.
And they
So
go back to the
this is gonna be
ACC, man.
exciting.
They go back to the
Yeah.
ACC, Virginia Duke days. So I'm sure RJ's memory's not short when it comes to DeAndre Hunter, man. That's also a matchup that he wants, man. No doubt about it. Good points. All right, let's go to. So we went through RJ. That was really the bulk of RJ's highlights. It's just talking about what he's working on, the foundation, and then just wanting to be a two-way player, as JD said. So let's go to D Rose. Let's get RJ up out of there. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CPJD Sports Talk in the building. If you guys are new in the chat, leave us a hashtag new and we'll shout you guys out. Just going through the media day highlights, the sights and sounds, and reacting to it. Okay, so we did RJ.
What's up,
All
man?
right, let's get to D Rose. Now D Rose was very good. I think D Rose started the media day session. So let's hear D Rose on his off season and wanting to come back to the Knicks.
Kind of weird.
Obviously you re-signed here. Can you talk about that decision to come back and what free agency was like for you?
Yeah, right after the season, kind of like disconnected from like everyone. This was the first time I disconnected in a way I didn't have my phone. I ended up breaking my phone, and I went like 2 months without a cell phone. So I let my agent and my brother handle everything. I felt like it was family here, so I didn't have to worry about anything. Of course, they knew I would want to come back. I think we talked to like some other teams, but of course, we heard New York out first, and it just sounded right, and that's why I signed back so quick.
Commonly on
All right, so spent the off season out of the Matrix, man, but said it just felt right. Just felt right to come back to New York, man. I'm glad he was back. We did the free agency show, and as all the dominoes fell off the board, it was like, all right, well, we need D Rose, man. We need D Rose because Lowry's gone. You're hearing Lonzo's gone, and that was it. I mean, those are your top point guards off the board already. So it was vital for him to be back here, bro.
And he keeps it so real, man. He talking about he disconnected his phone for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I appreciate about Derrick Rose. He, like, you listen to him, as we watch him day to day, that's just who he is. He tells you how he feels. He's brutally honest a lot of the times. And I thought it was interesting. That tells you what his mindset was going into the offseason. It was pretty straightforward. He wanted to be back with the Knicks, and he was just going to take some time to himself. And hey, if it didn't work out, then he would have pursued other options. So, it's interesting as a guy that's, from Chicago and another story franchise that, he ends up here on the Knicks for a second time.
Yeah.
And how, I'm just happy for him personally, like how it's worked out better the second go round than the first go round.
Yeah,
You had a lot
yeah,
of expectations. You know,
yeah,
the whole injury stuff.
yeah. Remember
You know,
the
like
franchise turned on him when he left, man, and a lot of people didn't want him back for leaving after that. And I was like, that's a little chaotic. I mean, first of all, Steve Mills was still in charge. I would have left if it was everyone on the team. So I'm not gonna put that on him. You know what I mean? He went through a little thing. But yeah, a lot of people did turn on him, but it was good to see him kind of resurrect on the second tour for sure.
absolutely. And he said a lot of interesting things, and I know we're gonna have to tread lightly here,
Yo,
CP,
yeah,
when
yeah, I'm getting to it. I'm getting to
because
it.
there's a lot of Rose fans
Yes,
here, so
yes, we.
you know what quote I'm talking
Yes,
about.
so the Rose Hive is watching. So, nevertheless, let's get to the question that he was asked in regard to the starting point guard. Let's get to it.
Always been a grimy, feisty guard, New York guard, always been competitive, and he's a dog. So, like, having him along on the team, like, who wouldn't want Kemba walk on their team? You'll be a fool not to.
How would you see the Knicks in the starting situation? And I mean, you really excelled off the bench last season, but how do you view that situation?
Oh, he's starting. He's starting, and I'm doing whatever it takes to like just change the game. I'm not worried about minutes or playing time or anything like that. I know Tibbs is going to handle that, but I feel like we got a deep team. We got guys at multiple positions that can that's versatile. That could switch one to three. You got guys that's selfless. Like I feel like we got a deep team. You have to get him that stage. You know what I'm saying? Like being a kid that's from here, and you have to give him the opportunity. It's not nothing that we're like fighting for a spot. My job is to fill in whenever he don't feel it or whatever the case may be. But I just have to stay ready. It's nothing like we're competing for anything now. Like I'm cool with backing Kemba up.
So he's relinquished the starting spot to Kemba. I know the Rose Hive is in there heavy. I know they're in here. I know they're on Twitter. They've been taking shots at the kid for a number of weeks.
Over 1,000 in the chat. They got to be in here.
They're in
CP.
there. If you're in the Rose Hive, throw some roses in the chat right now because we know we're in here. Nevertheless, JD, he said what we thought. Kemba's gonna start, but in all honesty, all jokes aside, I feel like and somebody had said this to me on Twitter when the tweet came out this morning. They said for a guy who can still play at a high level and contributed so much to this team. The way he's handling the situation is very admirable, man. It's no egos with Derrick Rose, man. He just wants to come in, fit in, and help this team win. And I think that's dope. That's real dope. It's leadership, honestly.
I mean, and when you look at, some of the players, other stars, Carmelo's and, some other stars around the NBA in history where they tell you, CP, like the most difficult part of, Dwayne Wade said it, like a lot of these players, when they're no longer that guy, the most difficult part for them is just relinquishing like those responsibilities, that mindset of, now I'm going to play a different role. Now I'm going to come off the bench. Now I'm going to go into a different phase of my career that is just new for me and that I have to accept. It's about putting your ego at the door. And when you look at, part of Rose's, I guess, reinvention of his career, in addition to the physical aspect in terms of him understanding where he can be effective now at this point in his career, not having the explosiveness and athleticism that he once had, it's also the mental side, being the leadership side, being a teammate. And, you talk about just being honest, like day one for media day, a lot of players, the ego side of it, even if they know it, when they out in the media and public, they never say it. Like any other player would just say, listen, if it's starting, if it's if it's off the bench, I'm ready to play, whatever the coach needs me to do. And Rose said, no, Kemba's a starter. I'm coming off the bench and I'm going to be ready for any situation that this team needs. I mean, that's outstanding. And you see why He was one of the important ingredients to last season. When we talk about winning basketball, you know, these are the things that we don't see is part of those leadership qualities in the locker room. And you see why, him and Thibodeau have had such a close relationship and why I felt he was an important signing even at this stage of his career because he's still effective and he's understanding where he can contribute to winning basketball. And there's nothing much more I could say to that, man. Salute to him. And
Yeah.
I'm just happy. I'm happy he's back and I'm happy he's a Knick. And I'm hoping that he's healthy so that he can show and continue to, build off a great year last year with the Knicks.
Selfless, man. Selfless. Come in, been a leader. Spoke more about that, being a leader and getting to know each player personally so he can be honest with his critique. He said even Taj, even Taj being on that level with him, even though they've gone a way back. But just an absolute selfish thing by him. He was clearly the X factor in this team, locking down that 4 seed. It was funny how he said he didn't even feel like part of the core. He felt like the team already had something established in the first half of the season. He just came in and did what he had to do. But I thought he's right in the sense that, yes, that team did establish themselves. The defense had established themselves. But I didn't think it was going to be sustainable without him. You know what I'm saying? I really didn't think this team was going to maintain that without him. That's why I was like indifferent on the trade because I didn't think this team was going to continue to compete at a high level through the second half of the season and through the West Coast Gauntlet. But he came and they were even better because of him. So again, give credit to him there, and his leadership is certainly on display. And I don't know if they're going to name captains, but he's certainly showing himself to be one in that locker room. So,
and one quick thing, how many times do we, as we evaluated Rose, and again, I know there's a lot of Rose, you have Rose fans that feel he should be the starter. Like, it's just a fact. Like, there's a lot of Rose fans, and I'm a Rose fan too, but, I just look at the way that the Pistons managed him. I mean, he was with the Pistons, CP. He was coming off the bench. He was okay with it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't understand why it's such a bad thing now to some fans if a guy is just coming off the bench. I mean, Rose, when we talk about lineups, Rose may be one of those guys that's finishing games.
He could very well close. I was just going to say that. He could very well close. You might have him and Kemba closing. Who knows what Tibbs is thinking? You know what I'm saying? He could very well close these games.
So, and again, a lot of credit to him because he's Derrick Rose. I mean, I know he's looking at Kemba, but, he has his own accolades. I would say he's a bigger name than Kemba. He's more revered around NBA circles and NBA players than Kemba. And for him to put his ego at the door and say he's the starter and doing it from day one. I mean, when we look at, Kemba, Randle, Rose, there's some names here. And when you talk about building chemistry, one of the things that's going to be important from day one so that they can build that chemistry is for everyone to understand their roles and check their ego at the door.
Roles. Yeah, 1,000%, bro. It hit the nail on the head. So that was basically Rose's media day highlights. And then, as we said earlier, he spoke about the fact that the team overall wants to shoot more threes. And I think that'll come automatically by just having Kemba and Fournier on the team. Obviously, quickly, year 2, Burks knows what to do. He knows to light it up. And Rose was very efficient from the field last year. So I think that'll continue, man, because it's, I don't think this team is going to lead the league in three-point attempts, but they certainly found their opportunities to get quality threes and high percentage shots. And I think that'll continue with Julius creating, Kemba creating, Fournier facilitating as well, getting out in transition as well, and having guys that can hit those shots in transition. So I think just by having an improvement on the roster, I think they'll improve on their three-point attempts as well. So I wouldn't worry about that.
I thought it was interesting, CP. He mentioned 37 to 40
41
3-pointers that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
They shot, if that is the mark we're going to use, 37 at a minimum. Mm-hmm. Last year, you know how many games the Knicks shot 37 threes? Only 9 games.
Wow.
Only 9 games. So that goes to show you, where they're looking to do, improve on. Only 9 games, they shot at least 37 threes last season. So I thought that was interesting. And in games that they shot 34 threes or more, they were 12-9. So let's see how they do, man. It also goes to show you that Tibbs is maybe adapting to the way that the NBA is being played today.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of people thought that we needed to shoot more threes. And so let's see how that goes this season. I'm encouraged by them shooting more three. I hope they don't go too crazy,
Yeah.
but them understanding that, listen, we have Kemba, we have Fournier, we're gonna have to kind of open up the floor a little bit more, space it out, shoot more threes, continue to shoot the corner three, which is a high emphasis in Tibbs' system. Let's see how that works out for them. And Rose was shot pretty well last year from three. So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. I want to shout out my guy HP Carlos checking in from Portugal. Olivia Thomas, team hashtag new. Olivia, how you doing? Shout out Caleb Christian, team hashtag new. What's going on? Mike Maldonado says the new Squarespace logo is doo-doo. Yeah, that's another thing. Another one of this media day pet peeves of mine, man. Not pet peeves, but just, thumbs down. The Squarespace advertising, it seems like they doubled down, JD. Last year it was all right. I've been totally against advertising on the uniforms, but obviously this is capitalism. You expect it. It is what it is. You came with the nice subtle double S logo last year. All right, you can deal with it. Now it's the full, my people at Squarespace is probably like, no, people don't know who we are. Now they'll know. It's full Squarespace. I can't do it, man. I'm not with it, bro.
yeah, and I mean, is this a sign of where things are headed? Because I think that's
Yeah.
even worse.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, is this Squarespace's new logo? Is this just something that they decided, hey, we're just gonna blow it up? You know what I mean? Like, what is going on here? I don't understand.
I don't know, bro.
Come on, man. Like you got the Knicks jersey, it looks crisp, and you got that. Like, that can't be, and it's funny because it is, and I guess that's the idea. It can't be the first thing I notice, but it is the first thing I've noticed. And I think that's part of the idea with the NBA is, the sponsorship and the promotion. But I don't know, man. This thing may be going different here and I'm hearing rumors that maybe this is not even the first. Like, there could be a point in the NBA where we have more patches
Like
on
some
one
soccer
jersey.
stuff. Yeah, I hope not, man. I hope not. Can't kill the jersey like that, man. But yeah, they went with the full Squarespace logo.
Now Street.
Terrible. I don't mind. Some people didn't like the 3D silver Nike check. I don't mind that. I actually like that. But the Squarespace logo, it's a no deal for me, man. So Lex the Destroy said it's vandalism. Straight up, man. That patch is ugly. Jerry Gardner's ugly, man.
Because it just looks like you just use Scotch tape and put it like just stuck it to the jersey.
Terrible,
it just doesn't,
man.
doesn't look official. Doesn't look NBA
Yeah.
material. That's
No.
like a high school jersey.
It doesn't look good, man. I'm not feeling it at all. But nevertheless,
You know, if this is like you see the jersey you retweeted, the one that
the
with
75th. Which one?
yeah, the one that
Oh, the
Kemba
75th
one.
anniversary one. Yeah.
Yeah. So they would wear the Squarespace on that one too if they rock it.
That's a good question. I don't know because with the Jordan ones, did they have Squarespace on them? I gotta remember. I don't remember. Did they have Squarespace on the Jordan jerseys that they wore almost every game? Which I hated that too. It seemed like they wore those blue Jordan jerseys more than the home whites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Somebody in
gonna
the
be-
chat look that up. Did they wear with the Jordan jerseys, the blue Jordan jerseys? Did they wear the Squarespace logo on it? Somebody look that up and let us know in the chat. But on Kemba, as we keep it going here, so there's a lot of flower bringing here. Rose is giving Kemba his flowers, and here was Kemba during his media session talking about Derrick Rose.
With my knee and stuff, so I'm locked in, ready to go, ready to play at a high level, and do what I can just to help, this team win games.
Derrick just came in and said Kemba's the starter. Does that help having a guy like Derrick who just is, I guess?
I mean, I wouldn't know about that. I don't know yet, but I mean, that's pretty cool. Like for me, I mean, I've always been a huge D Rose fan. Regardless, starting, not starting, whatever, like, it doesn't even matter. Like, just want to win, and to have a guy like him, former MVP, a guy who's been through it all, to be on the same team as him is really special for me.
Well, one thing he said was he wants you, you're the hometown guy, he wants you to shine. Like, that, that's part of the reason why he's saying, hey, I'm fine with him starting and all that stuff. I mean, what does that mean to you?
That's huge. That's huge. Like I said, I mean, that's D Rose is one of the biggest reasons I came here. I wanted to be around him. Wanted to get a chance to see how he prepares himself every day. Just really, get a chance to pick his brain as best as I can. For my time here. I definitely want to build a special rapport with him and try to help him, lead. I seen this team last year in the way he.
All right, so that was Kemba. The volume on the Kemba interview was a little bit low, but anyway, he said, D Rose was one of the reasons that he came here, which was interesting, an interesting tidbit from Kemba. Not sure if that was just PR, if that was legit, but just talked about wanting to learn from D Rose as a veteran. The two, they did have history. They played each other in high school at Madison Square Garden. Obviously, some of the two of the top high schools in the country. With Kemba going to Rice High School up in the Bronx, and D Rose going to Simeon, the world renowned Simeon. So there's history there, but Kemba just appreciating the flowers from D Rose, man.
Yeah, and first, as a kid, one of the most exciting thing about media days is whenever you have a new player and you're so excited to see him, is just to be able to see them wear the jersey, because at the press conference you just have them hold it up or whatever, and it's not the same. So one of the most exciting thing about media day is just finally see the player have the jersey and you start to get hyped up about game one. So just seeing Kemba sitting there with the Knicks jersey on, and him having some of those home roots, which are more. He was born and raised. A lot was made about Carmelo, but Kemba's roots are even, they're more involved, because he was not only born here, he was raised there. He still has friends here, he still has family that live here.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. In terms of the Rose thing, I think a lot of it is respect. It all connects, because, as I mentioned, Rose is revered around NBA circles. I don't think Rose has ever had even a scuffle on, like, seriously. I don't think Rose has ever had even a scuffle on an NBA court. There was a time last year where something happened with the Lakers, and the Laker players was coming off the bench, picking up Rose, trying to help him out. That's how respected he is, and how people. There's one of the artists' favorite lines where they say, "I'm your favorite rapper's rapper." Like, Rose is a lot of these players' favorite players. You know what I mean? So I think Kemba does have a genuine respect for Rose. I think Kemba, is excited to be his teammate, and he gave him props for a lot of Rose's comments towards him. So I'm excited about Kemba, and I can't wait to see him.
Yeah.
He said some other interesting things. I don't know if you're gonna play it, but he there was another interesting quote he said about the whole load management thing that I thought was very, very interesting.
100%. And Rice is in Harlem, as they corrected me in the chat, not the Bronx. You got to put some respect on Harlem. They don't want that affiliation. Harlem is Harlem, Bronx is Bronx. All right, so we get that clarification there. But the minutes restriction, as you said, I'm not going to play because the soundbite is kind of low, but on the minutes, they asked him about playing on back-to-backs, and he said the back-to-backs was Boston's idea, put it on the Celtics, said it worked for him, he stayed fresh, he got hurt again in the playoffs, but it was a different injury, which, the injury history is still a concern. But he said, it's gonna be up to how he feels, though, JD. It's gonna be up to how he feels. So I don't feel like he closed the door completely on the idea when he said, "Well, it's gonna be. We'll see how I feel. We'll see how I feel." So I think that is a possibility.
I keep telling people, man. People talking about, oh, he's gonna play 22 minutes. He's not gonna play back to backs and all that stuff. And Tibbs had that joke. Everybody thought it was a joke and it was funny. But I'm telling you, man, like I feel like if he proves himself available, he's gonna get 30 minutes a game. And I'm not saying he's gonna play every back to back, but when you look at his quote and Tom Thibodeau, they said that Kemba's going to be involved in the process. In other words, Kemba said, listen, before I even, like, when I got there, Boston said, this is the plan. They didn't even involve me. Like, they told me, this is our plan for you, and this is what we're going to follow. With the Knicks, it seemed, if you look at, his demeanor, his body language, and his attitude when he said it, it looks like he wants to play. Like, it looks like he feels that he's going to be at least okay. Mm-hmm. And listen, like I said, I think Tibbs is gonna play it by ear with him, but this whole 50 games is no. I think he's gonna play a lot. I think he really will, and he better, because I got the 50 burger on the line.
Yeah, you got the 50 burger, and a lot of that is gonna be riding on Kemba's health, man. That is gonna be when we talk about the key questions going into the season, going into training camp. It's gonna be Kemba's health, man, because he is gonna be the starter. A lot is gonna depend on him and how he gels with Julius, with RJ. We know him and Fournier have some chemistry going. How is he gonna lead this team in the pick and rolls? Is he going to be close to the same guy? Close to the same all-star that he was a couple of years ago. We don't know that. We know the rim attempts were down this past season. Is that a result of the knee injury? But see, the rim attempts were down, but he was highly efficient at the rim. He was still 95th percentile at the rim. So does that mean that he was taking, more high percentage attempts at the rim? Because, Kemba was one of those guys at his prime. He would make some like acrobatic circus shots, the up and unders. He would always kill the Knicks. He would always finish on the Knicks bigs. Like, you couldn't block him. You could not block a Kemba layup at the rim whatsoever. And I just remember him just being so unstoppable there. So I want to see how he does that, because, I still think regardless, teams are still going to have to respect that. And those driving kicks are going to create a lot of open shots for RJ, for Fournier, for Julius out on the perimeter. And so, like I said, Kemba's going to be very important, man. Very important.
And, a lot of times, when we evaluate players, they play a certain way for, the majority of their careers. And once things change, yes, sometimes they're legitimate and they are negatives or they are concerns. But other times it could just be the player making adjustments to his game. So I understand that, some of these numbers, decreased, attacking the basket, et cetera, et cetera. But what if, and that's why I think it's going to be interesting to see how he plays this season. What if this is the beginning of Kemba just making adjustments to his game, picking his spots, and understanding that, listen, I have to protect my knee. At the end of the day, I can't be coming at the basket like I used to. Dwayne Wade made that adjustment late in his career. Derrick Rose is making that adjustment. Like a lot of players, in order to extend your career, you need to make adjustments. So there's certain numbers that are going to change over time. I think we're going to find out this year which one it is. Is it a concern thing? Is it the beginning of something? Or is it him beginning to make adjustments to his game?
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, as long as he's efficient, I'm good with it.
Fair points. Fair points. And speaking on the adjustment wave, Fournier, when Fournier was on this show, he said one of the things he was working on was post ups. Operating out of the post to save his legs. So that's just an example of, as you said, players trying to add to their game, add more of the basics, more of the fundamentals to just be a bit more safer and to just extend their careers. Because when you're going at it like this for 82 game seasons, the wear and tear, the mileage is going to get to you, man. So that's a good point.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's just, again, one of these storylines of the preseason. Will we see? I don't know. The NFL is different. It's so
Yeah.
strategic that teams in NFL preseason, they don't show much. But will we see some of it in the NBA preseason in terms of the style of play? Because with this roster, he may not need to do some of the things he did in the past. Like
Right.
another part of it is, what are your expectations of Kemba? If you're expecting Charlotte Kemba, then you might be disappointed.
Yeah. He may not
But
need to be that guy, as you said.
right,
He had no
I
help with
mean,
Charlotte. I mean, Al Jefferson was doing his thing for a minute, but
exactly. And because I mean, me personally, I'm looking for RJ to get a little bit more responsibility. I'm looking for Randall to continue to build off a solid year. So if that's the case, then Kemba could carve a nice solid role. I don't need Kemba to go 26 shots per game,
yeah.
Charlotte Hornet style. Like we don't really need that. You look at that series, Al made the bold statement, we could have won if we had Mitch. That means we could have won a series against the Hawks with Elfrid Payton at point guard.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I
don't think
mean?
so. I don't think so.
So, but there's people that do believe we could have won the series how we had Mitch. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, it just goes to show you, being a fourth seed with some of the, players we had, you're adding two guys that are going to take shots away from other players. You don't need Kemba to be a superstar. So I'm looking at efficiency, health, and availability. And him hopefully continuing to draw charges. He's among, he's
Second.
top 5 the last 5 years in that, giving other teams extra possessions.
Yeah.
I think if he provides that, I'm good with what he can bring here. 2 years, 16 millions. What I'm not gonna go crazy. I know the whole homecoming thing, it gets you hyped up.
Yeah.
But I want it to be a pleasant experience. So I'm not gonna, I don't expect him to score 30 points even game 1 against the Celtics. Just give me 18 points.
I think he'll have a few though, bro. I think he's gonna have a few
Oh,
guarded
he
moments.
definitely will.
Yeah.
He might game 1. He might come out just saying, forget all this. I'm going off. He might do it game 1, but for a whole 82 game season, I don't think it's likely.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say so either. But gonna be interesting to see. And what I'm also interested in seeing is in the clutch, who's gonna save Julius from himself? From you know what I mean? The terrible ISO. Are we still gonna go that way? Can we get him some easier shots? Is there a pick and roll, a pick and pop that we can get? That's an automatic bucket that the two of them can come down with. You know what I mean? Some chemistry there. Is there some spots where he can find Julius on the floor to get him some shots? And are there gonna be situations where Tibbs puts the ball in Kemba's hands with 3 seconds left and says, make a play? Again, a couple of years ago, he was second to Harden in clutch points in the league. Yeah. Now, again, that was all-star Kemba. Can he repeat that magic? I don't know.
Randall said it. Let's not overcomplicate things, CP. Let's just give it a Kemba. Let's not overcomplicate things. Let's just go to Kemba.
Save Julius from himself, man.
There's certain moves that a player has that is just career proof. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't matter that, yes, you lose a step or whatever. There's just certain moves that a player has that is just hard for the defender to defend. I mean, you talk about Rose now. Rose still has that little shimmy move that is not as explosive as before, yet people still fall for it, and he still gets to the basket when he wants.
Yep.
Right? Dwayne Wade had that crossover move where even late in his career in Chicago, people were still falling for it. Mm-hmm. And Kemba has that step back to where, if we're in a situation where shot clock is winding down, the play was broken, and we need to make a play, Kemba could, get near the free throw line, get you that step back and still give you a good shot.
Yeah.
Whereas with Randle, in that situation, you saw some of the type of shots that he took. They're not the highest percentage of shots. You don't have the most confidence that he can hit them. So to me, you don't overcomplicate things. You give it to the player that, even if we're talking about one play. Mm-hmm. So you don't need to be Charlotte Kemba for one play. You just need to dial it back one play, and that's it.
And get it.
And create a shot and hit the bucket. So I have full confidence in Kemba in the clutch. I think it's going to be one of the most underrated things about him this season. I think he's going to show it, this season coming up.
That's a fact. Shout out to everybody in the chat. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Let's hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up button. Let's break the YouTube algorithm. CPJD Sports Talk on the check. And we got over 1,000 people in here. We should have 1,000 likes. Everybody hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Let's go. Knicks Fan TV Live, presented by Manscaped. And speaking of Manscaped, JD, as usual, as you guys know, tonight's show is presented by Manscaped. They will be our presenting sponsor for the entire season. And fellas, go out and get that Lawnmower 4.0. As I told you, it is the Ferrari of ball trimmers. #1 men's grooming tool below the waist. Over 2 million purchases so far. Over 2 million customers have purchased the Lawnmower and the Lawnmower 4.0. And my guys at Manscaped are going to give you a great deal as usual. 20% off plus free shipping with promo code KFTV. So go out and get it. It's got the skin-safe aerodynamic ceramic blade technology, so you cut down on those nicks. It's got the matte black, nice finish, wireless charger or wired. It gets great battery life, waterproof. You have the spotlight here, JD. LED spotlight, much larger than before, so you don't have to miss any spots. You could do it in the dark if that's what you're into. Also serves as a nice flashlight on the side. So yeah, as I said, fellas, look, summertime. You might go with the Baldy. You might go with the Michael Jordan. Now it's the fall. It's getting a little nippy outside. Maybe you go with the Van Gundy. Whatever you're into, I don't need to know. No testimonials. Just go out and go get the Lawnmower 4.0. You can get the Performance Package 4.0. They got a lot of great products on the website, fellas. So go to manscaped.com. Promo code KFTV for 20% off plus free shipping. All right.
Van Gundy.
Hey, whatever you guys into, man. I'm just letting you know, because it's got the guards. That's the thing. It comes with the guards, so you don't got to go all the way with the zero blade, man. You can leave it a little bit on the top if you want to. Whatever your lady wants, you go ahead and do so, man. You go ahead and do that. I want to shout out my guy. This is a guy checking in from Abu Dhabi. My guy Diffin L checking in from Abu Dhabi in here, bro. Yeah, shout out to him, man. Everybody type your cities in the chat. Let us know where you guys are checking in from. And we'll definitely shout you guys out, man. All right, JD. So we heard from... Here's what I'm going to do. I want to get to the phones just to keep this pushing. The Fournier interview, he didn't really give you that much sound bites. I'm going to tell you something, as humble as I could say it. If you want to hear what Evan Fournier has to say about the Knicks, go watch the Knicks Fan TV interview with Evan Fournier, all right? That was hands down the most soup to nuts, end to end, wire to wire interview. If you want to get to know Fournier, his thoughts on the team, RJ, Julius, Tibbs, everything, go watch the Knicks Fan TV interview on Evan Fournier, and you'll get everything you need to know. Because his media day one was a complete waste of time. He had people in there, asking him about it, his parents being judo fighters or something like that, like. I didn't really get that there. That was a waste of time, but,
It's facts. It's facts. Just like the Alan Hahn interview.
Yeah.
If you're a Knicks fan and you still want to get that preview, you can watch the Alan Hahn interview all the way up to the first game of the season.
That's a fact.
It's relevant all the way until then.
All the way, man. Definitely watch the Alan Hahn joint, the Fournier joint. We got stuff for everybody, man, heading into Knicks training camp. So let's get to the phones without further ado. My guy Ice Water is waiting for a minute. Ice Water, how you feeling, bro?
What's going on, CP?
What's good, bro? How you doing?
All right, JD, what's going on? Hey, I hear your boy French Toast got picked up by the Dallas Knicks. Yeah, that's good for him, man. Good for him. In all seriousness, though, man, I wish Frank the best. His options were, from what I understand, the only other option he had was he got offered a 2-year non-guaranteed contract with the Gauchos. So glad that he chose Dallas. Anyway.
Wow.
Anyway. I was watching the press conference.
Mm-hmm.
The media day. And I saw both media days. I saw the Knicks media day, and I saw the Nets media day.
Mm-hmm.
And watching both of them, I wondered, which team would fans really want? Would they want this Knicks team, or would they want Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on the Knicks? You got the specter of winning the championship, but to me, just watching that media day, the Knicks media day was just more positive and more promising.
Energy. Yeah.
Than the Nets media day. The Nets media day looked like a powder cake practically. You didn't know what was going on.
It was a clown show. It was a clown show, man. I appreciate the call. They brought in Letterman to try to troll KD. KD wasn't feeling it. KD got no personality anyway, so he's trying his best to derail all of it. You know what I'm saying? So that one didn't go over so well. And then we know with the Nets that the whole Kyrie thing is hovering over him. So all the players know that, Patty Mills is sitting down there. They know damn well they don't care what he got to say. They want to know, is Kyrie getting vaccinated? Is he coming to play in the home games? And what are y'all going to do? You're going to toss him overboard for Ben Simmons, or are you going to deal with the distraction for the whole year? Simple and plain, bro.
And somehow it's funny, somehow the Knicks make their way to the Nets press conference, media day with the whole David, Letterman stuff, mentioning the Knicks, asking like you mentioned the Knicks a few times, asked Kevin Durant a few questions about the Knicks, and yeah, I mean, when it's crazy that we even say that because, as the caller says that, it makes me reflect on just the whole media day today. And it's like there were some storylines on other teams in terms of dysfunction or drama or whatever, and the Knicks was just even keel. When it's just crazy. It's so lovely.
It's been a long time,
lovely,
man.
You guys, I don't even know where Kyrie was at doing his little thing and telling people to respect his privacy, and it's just a lot of things, a lot of touchy things, tricky things going on with Kyrie. So I just think it's also a positive on the Knicks that it's like, it was a normal day here.
Yeah. It's smooth sailing, man. And like I said, I started the show with foundation, culture, stability, and that has been on display with this franchise for the past 2 years. It's refreshing to see. I like to sit back, drink my tea, and watch all these other teams burn it in controversy. The Kyrie thing is going to be an issue. No way around it. KD wants to play it off. It's on him. It's his decision. We support him. Okay. See, this is why they choose the Nets, bro. You understand? Because regardless of what happens, no one cares that much. Even if they don't win, it'll be like, all right, we didn't win, on to the next year. If this was here in New York, it would be on fire every single day. You got to answer the question. Every day.
You could imagine what would happen if Kyrie was here with all the stuff that's happened. I mean, just Kyrie. Like, forget everybody else. Just Kyrie.
Yeah.
Like, it would. I don't even know how to. It would be all over First Take. It would be. I mean, it would be everywhere. Mainstream, us. We will have to cover it. The beat writers, national, international. Like, it would be crazy. The headlines and just the drama and stuff, which. I don't know, man. He did ask a question if we would rather have Durant and Kyrie. And I'm like, it's still a tricky thing because you do want to win. But then I'm looking at it now and I'm like, maybe we just dodged a bullet, man.
Oh, I think we definitely dodged a bullet.
You do all that to maybe win one championship, I know when you see them on paper, everybody thinks that a team is going to win every year. Well, just look at LeBron's career. How long has LeBron been in the NBA? He only has 4 rings. Like, I know certain things look a certain way on paper. There's just so many things that happen in between. And sometimes you have certain experiments and it's like, it's kind of the Golden State thing. He won a couple rings, but in the end, KD wasn't happy.
I mean, as players, how could you not want them? You know what I mean? I think that's one thing that the fans kind of, get confused with Kyrie is that they look at all the off the field stuff and the flat earth thing and because he's so disagreeable, they kind of it overshadows the fact that he's an absolute beast on the court and one of the best point guards to ever, put a basketball in his hand. You know what I'm saying? Before he even went to the Nets, he was hands down one of my favorite players in the league. You know what I mean? I can't root for him now. He's on the Nets, but from a basketball standpoint, he's a dog, man. Filthy.
And let's keep it a buck too, right? Like, I'm a Yankee fan, so I gotta be honest. There's a lot of things that happens with the Yankees, and then what's the mentality? It's all about postseason baseball, right? It's all about what you do when it counts. And in the end, he was available in the playoffs, and it was looking a certain way for the Bucks until he got hurt, Harden with you know what I mean? So if he was a Knick, we would have had to go through all that stuff. But in the end, as Knick fans, if they're available in the playoffs, our mindset would have changed, and we would forget about what happens in the season, man. So that's the tricky thing about these players and like stars of that magnitude that just have volatile personalities. In New York is just magnified, and you have to deal with it.
1,000%, man. 1,000%. Let's hear from Fredo up next. Fredo, what's going on, bro?
About these players and like stars of that magnitude.
Fredo, just turn down your volume, bro.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it. Man? I'm doing great. I want to bring it back to the beginning of the show when you talked about Leon Rose being aggressive. There's two players that I know the fans are not going to be too happy when I bring them up, but there's two players that I wanted to talk about. I called before speaking about young talent, and I think maybe Ben Simmons and Karl Anthony Towns kind of fit that role. Both players are 25 years old. Ben Simmons, in my opinion, is one of the best defenders of the league. I would say he's probably top 3. He led the league in steals last year, all defensive first team. Karl Anthony Towns, 2-time All-Star. He was also a former All-NBA player. And I think Ben Simmons might be a little bit more unrealistic because he might be on the way out soon, and I don't think the Knicks financially could make that move. But if he were to be available, or Karl Anthony Towns, I don't understand why the Knicks wouldn't make that trade. We have a lot of picks available. We would definitely have to give up some players to match the money. But, I think both of them would be, make us like serious contenders in this league. Possibly we could say, Eastern Conference Finals type teams. I just want to know what you guys thought about that. Thank you.
You want to get both of them or either or?
Either or. I think you're saying either or, right?
Yeah, I don't think realistically we could get both. Me personally, if I had to pick between the two, I think Karl Anthony Towns is a little bit soft. I do think he's a great player, but I would go after Ben Simmons because he just kind of fits Thibodeau's style, and I think you could plug him in at the small forward and then move RJ back to the 2. Or look, Ben Simmons could play almost any position, So I think I would prefer Ben. I think he's a more like talent than Karl Anthony Towns, but nevertheless, I think if we get either one of them, we would be. And I know like they have like a stigma surrounding them, but if we do facts, no feelings, and we talk about them as players, not about so much their personal life, but as players, they're two of the best players in the NBA. They're definitely in the conversation. Especially being 25. So I just want to know what you guys thought about that. Thanks.
Appreciate the call, man.
CP, I'll let you have this, but let me say this. I'll say this. Shout out to the caller. Thank you for calling on the show. Today might not be the day to talk about who we can get on
this. Are flying for Fredo right now. He's taking over from Jay from Florida. The tomatoes are flying, Fredo. Flying, man, on Media Day, man.
Media Day. I mean, I want to see this team play a game before I talk about, like Ben Simmons.
I'm down. I'm not with Simmons, man. I'm just not with it. If he was everything you said he was, I don't think a contender like Philly would be looking to get rid of him. The fit is questionable. What Joel Embiid say today on Media Day? We talk about Media Day. They asked him about Simmons, and they said, "What would you want to? What would you?" I think they said, "What would you want him to improve on coming in?" And he said, everything you've seen in those workout videos. Let's start there, right?
He said that would be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice. In other words, step your game up because you can't shoot. You're scared to shoot, and you have no offensive game. And that's the thing, Fredo. I understand, like, you're trying to buy low, but now you're asking Leon Rose to take a gamble here, bring in a guy who can't shoot, who has a mental deficiency, a mental block in terms of shooting. He's got Chuck Knobloch syndrome right now. Yes, one of the best defenders in the league, hands down. You give him that. Excellent facilitator in the open court and a good scorer in the open court. The problem is when the game slows down, when everything slows down and grinds into a half court, where is his fit? And he got exposed once again against the Hawks, man.
Yeah, and even, I mean, we just tried to, analyze Julius Randle's words, and Julius Randle talking about overcomplicating things and him wanting to be great, which alluded to the fact that it was mental for him, the crowd, all that stuff. And this is a guy that played 72 games throughout the season and still wasn't mentally prepared to handle the New York scene and pressure and environment, etc. And you're telling me that you're going to bring a guy that came from Philly, who's another pressure city, but is still not New York, and you're going to expect him to come here and shoot a jump shot? He doesn't want to shoot at Philly. Right. He's going to come to New York and shoot? Right. It's not going to happen.
I don't see it, man.
And Karl Anthony Towns, I guess you can make a better argument just because of talent, but I think people sometimes, I mean, like I've always said, I'm a Knicks fan, and this is New York, and it is what it is. There's stuff you can't hide from, and I wish that our media was nicer. I wish that this environment would be more player friendly and all that stuff, but I can't control that. This is just the nature of the city. It's the personality of this city. So I think when we talk about potential players that could be a part of this franchise, you can't underestimate the mental aspect, the ability to handle and play in this city. It's not the same as any other city. So when you look at Ben Simmons and players like Karl Anthony Towns, those are big concerns for me to even consider that a possibility.
I can't see it, bro. And Windhorst on Brian Windhorst on ESPN had said that the Philly fans is a factor in Simmons wanting to leave. I don't think so. I think Joel Embiid's comments today put it right square right there that there's an issue with the two of them. Because if he wanted him back, that's the last thing he would have said. Check the workout videos. Let's start there.
And when they were talking about, players, what was it that we talked about when players wanted to take a plane or something and go visit Simmons?
He was like, nah.
Talk to him. He was like, nah, good. I'm good.
Don't even waste your time.
Even if they would have went, it would have been interesting to see if Embiid would have gotten on that plane, because I don't think he would have been one of those players.
Right. So
I think there's an obvious issue. It's just, man, for him to take this stance like that, when you look at a player, you just played with a potential MVP candidate player in Joel Embiid. And I understand everything, but you mean to tell me you can't fix it? To me, it's more than the fans. It's more than the city.
Bro.
You just played with Doc Rivers for the first time. So it's to me, there's something else going there. Yeah. And it could be the Embiid stuff.
It's more than the fans, man. No question. No question. For him to want to leave that situation, a contender with an MVP candidate and a decent squad, man. They got a nice squad. I think they're good enough to make it if he can, be the finishing piece. But the problem with Simmons is, here's a guy, he's been in the league a number of years now, has not shown the ability to want to get better, as his detractors say. This is not my, my knowing of what he's doing in the offseason, but from what the detractors say, has not shown the want to, again, between the ears, how bad does he want it? And that there's just no, for his size, bro, there's no inside game. There's no high efficiency. Yes, he can drive to the basket, but there's just no high efficiency jumper. There's no go-to move that he can rely on. It's, full steam ahead, bulldoze, and that's it. In the open court, and that's it. Maybe in the half court, I wouldn't go that route if I were the Knicks. And number two, the Knicks can't trade anybody worthwhile until December anyway. The Simmons thing looks like it's going to get wrapped up within the next few weeks. And I think Philly wants a piece that can help them maintain where they're at. And I don't think we have that piece to give them.
Well, I hope it goes over into the season because, hey,
yeah,
the Simmons talk, but it relates to the Knicks. It's
East
the
is wide
Atlantic
open.
Division.
Let's go.
And when we talk about tiers and we talk about the 50 burger prediction,
Yeah.
I told you,
Stars are aligning for you.
this is gonna be one of the main things I'm looking at
Yeah.
in terms of contention for a 3 seed, because to me, it's the Sixers could be that, and then to me, everybody else is wide open and can be
Second
anyone.
tier's wide
you
open,
know?
man.
And so this is going to be something to watch in the next few weeks, because it's all going to affect the Eastern Conference and it's going to affect the Knicks for sure.
Yeah, and on the Cat thing, I just don't see how he and Randall coexist, especially defensively. I think it's one or the other, but not both for me personally. And I just want that next star, if we do get it, I want to be on the perimeter, either at the 2 or the 1. I think that's where it has to be to bring some balance to the team. Cat's a great offensive player, no doubt about it, one of the most dominant. But I don't see it. I just don't see it, man. All right, let's go to the phones as we wrap up. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Still got 1,100 in the chat. JD rocking with us still, man. Nobody's going to sleep. They are excited. Training camp starts tomorrow. Let's get it going. Yeah, once again, so to everybody in the chat, man. Let's go to the phones. All right, we're going to wrap up with Val, and then we'll close with Ari. Val, how you feeling?
Good. How are you guys?
Good, man. What's going on?
Good. I just have a quick question, and I need you guys' opinion.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, a player in the NBA that we were supposed to draft just got a very big bag today, Michael Porter Jr., and we all know about his spinal issues. I have a question. Do you think RJ could potentially be that guy for us to get that rookie extension? Because I was looking at the stats earlier. RJ had a better rookie year than him, and they both had a similar second year, too. He had 19, RJ had 17, and if RJ continues to trend upward, he'll basically be a 20 a game a night. So next summer is the year we can extend RJ to the rookie max, what they call it. What's your opinions on this?
I think it's going to take a huge leap for him next season to kind of show that. I'm not sure. I don't know if he can hit that. You know what I mean? That's the one thing with Porter is that, yes, he was injured his rookie year. He sat out. He missed time. But I think the Nuggets are gambling on his potential. And he showed a lot of flashes as a creator, as a shooter last year for Denver. One of the most efficient 19 points per game in NBA history. I think it was just Michael Porter Jr. and Wilt, right? What was his effective field goal percentage, JD? He was like well over 60-something%, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what the Nuggets are gambling on. With RJ, again, as we said at the top of the show, he's got to show more than
90 seconds.
He's got to show more than the 35% effective field goal percentage on pull-ups on 2 attempts. It's got to be way more than that. He's got to be able to show that he can be a capable shot creator, not just a catch and shoot guy that's going to play off of Julius and Kemba. That's more role play status. Nuggets are gambling that Porter Jr. could be a third star for them. So let's see how it goes. I'm not sure if RJ takes that big of a leap in his third season.
Seconds.
What do you think, bro?
That dude got paid, man.
Paid. Just to tell the chat, it's worth 200. It's really worth 172. But if he cashes in on his incentives, if he makes the All NBA team in those 3 years, it can get up to 200. So 5 years, 200 is the potential of the contract. But it's really 5 years, 172.
And I think they structured it. Sometimes you see these contracts where the incentives are just a few million, and it's one of those things where you're like, well, if he hits it, who knows? He may not care or may not be motivated. We're talking about what, like 30 million difference, 35 million difference in additional bonus incentive money. So that's enough of a chunk. That's a contract in itself. So that's a contract in itself for him to, strive for greatness. And that's maybe part of the reason why they took that, leap of faith in him. He still has, he had some spasms here and there last year. So there's still some little concerns about the back long term. But listen, I know one thing. RJ doesn't seem like the guy that wakes up and thinks about his contract or his future stuff. He seems like an even keel guy. He seems like that guy that, hey, my play will do the talking. But I tell you one thing, RJ's agent was smiling when he saw that report.
Oh yeah. The Pags are getting paid, and again, as we said, Nuggets are taking a gamble. I think Bobby Marks came out with the stat that by 2022-23 season, there's only going to be 4 teams with 3 max contract players. It's going to be the Nets, Golden State Warriors, the Nuggets, and who's the 4th team again? Who's the 4th team that he said? The Nets. It's not the Bucks because Middleton and Drew Holiday aren't on max contracts. If you pull up Bobby Marks' tweet, it's
the Clippers.
Is it? Who's the 3rd?
Because they have.
No, I don't think it's the Clippers. It's definitely the Nets, the Warriors, Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Nets, Harden, Kyrie, Katie, Nuggets, Jamal Murray, Jokic, and Michael Porter Jr. now. And then the 4th team is gonna be, I'm gonna tell you,
Lakers?
The Lakers with LeBron, AD, and Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
So, Nuggets are thinking, hey, look, free agency in next few years is nothing gonna be worth our while. We're gonna take the bird rights of our guys, sign them. Obviously, they're gonna give Jokic a super bag when he's eligible for it, and as the years go on and salary caps increase and contract values increase, that deal may look more and more affordable or more and more market value for them if Porter, capitalizes on that potential that they think he can.
And it goes to the continued discussion when we have these debates about how is the best way to build the winner or build a championship team. You see the way the market is when players are up for contracts. You see some of this money that's being given. Is there really a way? This is why it's so difficult to build the winner, because you got to pay some of these guys, and the Knicks are going to be faced with some of these questions soon themselves. So goes to show you that this is not an easy thing. And why LeBron's been in the league for 20 years, only has 4 rings. It's not easy to win an NBA championship. It's not easy to build the winner, man.
Trades. Always do sign and trade, and I think that's what a lot of teams are thinking right now. There's no point in saving the cash for that guy because the chances are you're not going to get him. You know what I mean? Chances are you're not going to get him. So continue to build your team, continue to draft well, scout well, and let the chips fall there where they may. And if a guy's available in the sign and trade, you hope that you have a team where you could pair off a quarter of it and still be good to go to compete and take you to the next level.
And the other thing is, quickly, is you see what's going on. Like, this is not the LeBron era and KD and some of these guys that bet on themselves year in, year out with these one-on-one deals. Even Anthony Davis said, I'm going for security.
Yeah.
I just had an injury there. These guys that we like to think 2-3 years in advance, we're gonna get this guy, and then boom, they sign a supermax, or they re-sign with the team because this is a new generation, and it looks like these players first want to make sure that they secure the bag, and then I'll worry about everything else
later. Man, you force a trade later. All right, closing the show, Ari in the building. Ari, what's going on? Ari, you coming with us to the home opener, right? What's good?
Yeah, I'm coming through.
Ari's in the building. Let's go.
Yeah. Obviously, I'll make a hard pass on Ben Simmons, a hard pass, and Karl Anthony Towns as well. There's no need. I'm with UCP. The next main guy we get has to be on the perimeter, 1, 2, or 3. That's the way the NBA is going. So I'm with you on that. So a couple things I want to talk about real quick. First, shout out to Jay from Florida. The second, he mentions to Alan Hahn that he hasn't heard from Leon Rose in 14 months. 3 days later, he speaks before training camp.
Yeah.
So maybe someone's watching the show. Wink, wink, Leon. So if you're listening, you know the deal. KnicksFanTV, for the fans, by the fans, you know the deal. But, so first of all, regarding Julius Randle's comments, listen, man, the guy looks like he's in incredible shape. I'll give him that. He's definitely been working hard. But I would have personally liked to see more ownership and personal responsibility for the way he played in the playoffs. He sounded like he tried to downplay it, that it was a simple fix, and that it was like no big deal, and he just overcomplicated things. Personally, I think it's a very big deal. He had 5 games to make that simple fix and wasn't able to do it. Granted, I understand it's his first time in the playoffs being the number one guy, but you know, if you're going to be the leader of the team, man, you should be like, listen, I let the team like you should take more ownership personally. But that's nothing important. But that's just my take. Regarding Mitchell Robinson, first of all, Alan Hahn is one of my favorite, probably my favorite guest you've ever had on in history. He's the GOAT. But that Mitchell Robinson take was like a CP the artist type take, man. That was just absolutely awful. Like,
I didn't agree with him about that
take.
one.
No
I
offense.
didn't agree with him about that.
No offense, Han, but that was a little bad. And yeah, I know he said his issue is from the neck up. Personally, I think his issue is from the knee down. You know, this guy is running out there like he's Gumby, man. Like, he's wobbling, he's jumping, he looks like a 7 foot tall Gumby out there, man. I just don't trust that he's going to. I just don't trust that he's going to stay healthy, man. I really don't. I hope he does, but I also think that, listen, man, you invested so much money in Noel. You know, I just don't see him keeping both of those guys, especially if they're trying to make a trade and be aggressive.
Yeah.
You're going to have to give up something to get something, man. So whether that's Obi or Mitch, I wouldn't get too attached to these guys. But the last thing I want to talk about is the real X factor. I know a lot of people are saying that Mitchell Robinson's the X factor. You know, he didn't have him in the playoffs. He would have changed the dynamic. You know, I think what he does on defense is great, but he's also an offensive liability. Can't stretch the floor, and it's kind of like guarding 4-on-5. But I think the real X factor of this team, if we're really going to go somewhere and make some noise in the playoffs, is R.J. Barrett's development. So I did some research. I'm in my surge bag. I did my preparation, all right? I got some research done, all right? Player A, when he was 20 years old, he averaged 15 points per game when he was 20. When he was 21, he averaged 26 points per game. That's an 11-point jump. Who is player A? Tracy McGrady, okay? Kobe Bryant, he was averaging 19.9 points per game in year 20, relatively similar to what R.J. Barrett was doing on a competitive team. In his year 21, he jumped at 4 points, 23 points a game, okay? Jason Tatum, in his second year, when he was 20 years old, 15.7 points per game. When he was 21, 23.4 points per game. Paul George, when he was 20 years old, 12 points per game. When he was 21, 17 points per game. So it looks like that these wing players that are playing probably the most competitive position in basketball, the 2 and 3, the wing, it takes them a couple of years to really develop their game. And I think with RJ's work ethic and how much he's developed in his second year from shooting and from the videos I'm seeing of him, I would not be surprised if he has a breakout year, man. And I don't know how the fit with Fournier is going to be, but if RJ Barrett can take it to the next level and step it up, not necessarily be an all-star, but average in the 20-point per game. Be like a guy who could get his own shot, who's like clutch down the stretch. If he could be that guy, the Knicks can make noise. The Knicks can make a deep run in the playoffs. So I think he's the X factor, not Mitch. And I guess that's my take, man. And I guess I'll see you guys on the 20th, dude.
Yes, sir. Good call, Ari. Looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it. It's a good take. It's a good take by Ari, man. I don't see any tomatoes in the chat, so I think the fans are pleased. Oh, I see one. Michael Maldonado. And Joshua Rivera. So I spoke too soon.
Yeah, because I think maybe it's the players that he mentioned, putting RJ in those conversations with Kobe and Grady, and that's pretty high standards or expectations. But overall, I see what he's saying. It's a good take. In terms of him being an X factor, yes, I do agree, because if RJ takes that substantial of a leap, it covers for some deficiencies in other areas. So in other words, yes, you can make a case that the Mitch factor does go into play, but I think Mitch becomes even more important if RJ doesn't take that step, because then you need everyone else. So you have teams that they have great players, and those teams have weaknesses, but you kind of are able to cover it up because your great players are that good that they can cover up those weaknesses. If you don't, then you kind of need more of a collective effort to win games. So if RJ takes that leap, it can help in the event that Mitch doesn't pan out or he's hurt or whatever the case may be. But if he doesn't take that leap, then we need everyone else to play their role and do what they have to do. As far as the Randle thing, I'm going to be honest with you, CP. I don't know if I'm going to be that tough on Randle today, because I get it. I understand what he's saying. But it's like, do you want Randle to come in on media day and still reflect on that loss?
Move past.
Like,
Yeah,
do
I'm
you
with it.
think that is the best attitude? Do you think that's the best mindset? Because if he would have, showed up today and said, yeah, it sucked, I'm still thinking about it, or whatever the case may be, I take responsibility, it's good. But then on the other end, I don't know if I still want him to think about that. I mean, we got some new players, let's clean slate. He already said he's looking forward to it. We're not going to talk about it until that time comes anyway.
Yeah.
So him saying a few words is really not going to win equity with me, because at the end of the day, with Julius Randle today, what mattered was him showing leadership, in my opinion. Anything else, to me personally, it doesn't matter, because Knicks fans are still going to evaluate him when the playoffs start, right? Like that's when they're going to really evaluate him. The first step he has to make sure that he builds off last year. There's still there's still Knicks fans that kind of question whether last year was a fluke. Was it the crowd? Can he still shoot, 40% from three? I don't think he has to shoot 40% from three personally, but there's still fans that have question marks about his year last year. So to me, just perform. We'll talk about the playoffs when we get there. We'll talk about pressure situations. And listen, he shouted out Walker Payton and Reggie Bullock, but who knows? Maybe behind closed doors, he's like, thank God I got help.
Yeah. Yeah, you need help. You need help in this league, man. You need help in this league. And as you said, I didn't expect him to just come out and be like, yeah, I failed, I choked. Obviously he's not going to say that. And we, the fans, say that because he did. But he tried to sugarcoat it by saying he overcomplicated things. And I think at times, yes, he was overwhelmed by the moment. I agree with that. But as you said, keep it light, keep it pushing. But as you said, year two, the fans are going to be looking for that improvement and that upgrade in performance and hopefully a first round win. I think that's what the fans are going to be looking for, no doubt about it. As far as Ari's call, first off, what do you guys think in the chat? Rate Ari's call as a closer for the night. 1 through 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. I'm seeing a couple 5s in the chat. As I said, I saw a couple tomatoes, but I think those are from natural born Ari haters, so that's a given. But what do you guys think in the chat? Rate it 1 to 5. As he was saying, and I got his point, he's not trying to compare Ari to those guys. I think his point was that sometimes it takes some time for these guys' games to really round out and you know who they are. But obviously, if RJ is going to be in that conversation of those guys, it's all going to come from the pull-ups, as we said. It's all going to come from the pull-ups. And can he take a leap there? As you said, he's working on that shot. He's working on it. So let's see what happens next season. So that's Ari's X factor.
Right. That's why sometimes people, when you see, and that's why sometimes, when we do what we have to do, it's sometimes is not easy, because when you say certain names, people react a certain way. Right. They automatically forget your whole perspective, and they just say, you said Kobe, or you said this, and they automatically look at that player and they forget the substance in the middle. And Ari was alluding to the statistical improvements and the time that it takes, and maybe this is the potential trajectory that RJ Barrett could have. So Ari covered all the bases, and I thought it was a good call.
Yeah, good call by Ari, man. Good call, man. So, with that being said, JD, Media Day is in the books. First day of practice tomorrow. Hey, if there's anything that comes out of it, we'll be back on to discuss. First preseason game is October 5th. And also on October 5th, you're going to find out if you're coming to the Knicks home opener with me, JD, Ari, the girls at Knicks Omni Fan, Papa Left, the whole cast of characters. We're going to be on and popping from 4:30 for the pregame show all the way to the Garden for the game, and then the postgame show, obviously all on KnicksFanTV. Number one show for the fans, by the fans, the best or nothing. I want to shout out, got you open for the Super Chat. want to shout out Corey Lee for the super chat. He says, I think he was talking about Derrick Rose. He says he knows his role. So no doubt. Shout out Junior Caroma. He says, come on, Kohler, F the Nets. I think he was talking to Ice Water. I wouldn't watch that crap if my life depended on it. So there goes Junior Caroma's answer. All right. Remember to sign up for the home opener giveaway. You guys got to go to KnicksFanTV.com and just sign up. It's free to enter. Just sign up and you'll find out if you win after the Knicks versus Pacers preseason game on October 5th. Once again, it's sponsored by my guys at Forzano Law Firm. And once again, Knicks fans, if you guys have been injured in a car accident, construction accident, trip and fall, slip and fall, nursing home incident, my guys at Forzano Law Firm will help you on the road to monetary compensation. They offer free consultation and free representation unless you get paid. So go to ForzanoLaw.com for a 24-hour live assistant, or you can call them up, 718-372-1397. Ask for Anthony and David. Let them know CP the Franchise sent you. You can go in person, 271 Avenue U in Brooklyn, 1 block from the F train. So shout out my guys at Forzano Law for sponsoring the giveaway once again. And we'll find out on October 5th. JD, as I said, man, I went to the Meadowlands yesterday. I intended to get a good tailgate in. I did that. Came home and slept for 12 hours, man. Slept for like a baby. I was in there getting it in, throwing it back. I did run into a fan of the show at my tailgate party, so shout out to him. Forgot his name. But either way, I went there for the intention to get my tailgate on and go salute my quarterback. I had a feeling my team was going to find a way to lose, and they did just that. In one play, Cordell Patterson, was it Patterson that broke the tackle and put him in field goal? Oh, man. All of a sudden, Cordell Patterson now is Barry Sanders. He's found new life in the league. Right? Resurrected his career. And it's just the Giants, man. It's over. Stick a fork in them. I don't know where we go from here, man. It's a lost cause, and I was content with it. I left out of there disappointed, hungover, tired, but you know, okay. Just knowing that this team just doesn't have it, and I can move forward full time on the Knicks and the Yankees. The Yankees are playing well. Shout out to Stanton and Judge, man. Bronx Bombers are fighting for the playoffs, so that's exciting, but nothing exciting about New York Giants football right now, bro. Nothing at all.
It's unbelievable, man. Danny Jones hasn't thrown an interception in 3 games, and yet we're 0-3. You can't make this up. The guy has improved in the turnover department, your quarterback, and we're still not winning. And I mean, the whole New York football scene is not looking pretty right now. Shout out to Alex Rotaros.
Looking ugly, bro. We lost Martinez to the ACL. Martinez is gone. That's my guy.
Right.
We already lost Nick Gates. They don't know if Nick Gates is ever going to play football again. His football injury was so bad. They didn't even show Gates' leg injury last week. It was that bad. Usually they show it, even if he got bends his knee backwards. Sometimes they'll show it. They say Gates was so bad, they're not even going to show it.
Yeah, I did some research. I saw it. When I saw it, I saw why they didn't show it.
Man, yeah, I couldn't see that.
It did not look good.
You know, we might have Sterling and Sterling. Obviously, you knew it was a matter of time before Sterling got hurt. I don't even know why I started him in fantasy. Now you got Sterling and Slayton hurt. But I thought Tony looked good in his couple of snaps. I thought Tony looked all right on the field.
I thought so too. But then again, we didn't use him enough.
Yeah,
you know,
we didn't use him enough.
Unbelievable. And I think the snap counts came. He played like a 60-something% of the snap counts on offense.
Yeah.
Yet he didn't get many targets. When he received the ball, when they designed plays for him, he looked good, but there wasn't enough of that. So it's just it's not looking good, man. It looks like we got hoodwinked, bamboozled by Joe Judge.
Yeah. But Joe Judge, Mr. Everything is perfect. Everything is fine. We're learning. We're doing well. Come on, man. You're going to have to stop sugarcoating stuff, man. It don't look good.
And now the only hope, if you want me to give you 1% of hope, just 1%, The only hope is the Eagles just got smoked last tonight
Oh, that's good.
by Dallas.
That's good.
They lost 2 games in a row. They're 1-2. Washington doesn't look too good. They're already they're already calling for Ron Rivera's head, and some of the fans are even upset at Chase Young for whatever reason.
Oof. It's ugly, man.
They're 0-3. So, hey, it looks like it's Dallas' division to lose, but you never know, I guess. But I don't know, man.
Look, man.
It's one thing I know is I'm so happy that
Yeah.
when was the last time that even happened?
Yeah,
Like the Knicks,
right. 94?
Tommy,
94?
when was the last
99?
time we could even say that, man?
When was the last time we could say that, man?
Even all those Eli teams, like they were right there, 9-7. You know what I mean? Like, they were. It was something to look forward to. But the last time that I said, I can't wait for the Knicks.
It's ugly, man.
And Tommy Beer asked a very good question on Twitter. Who's the first team that's going to get their first win? The Knicks, the Jets, or the Giants?
Might be the way the schedule's looking in the middle is going to be ugly, man. I think the Knicks will get it way before them. Honestly, man.
That's kind of crazy to even say, to
Yeah.
even think about. Like, you still got to wait for the Knicks to play, and you're over here asking who's going to get their first win. Not looking good.
I'll be back next week, man. But for the rest of the week, I'm down bad, man. I'm just forget about it. By next Sunday, I'll be back up to my spirits. I can't turn away, JD. I'm not gonna miss a game, but I'm just disappointed, man.
And if we win next week, we're gonna bring up all these scenarios to try to bring ourselves.
Didn't I tell you this when you and Smell came on? It'll be the typical 0-2, 0-3, and then you're looking at the playoff schedule. You're looking at the schedule like, well, if we win this game, we got a shot at the wild card.
If there's a division to do it, it's this one.
Yeah,
so.
it might be, bro.
Hopefully they win this week. But man, CP, I can't wait for the Knicks.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the first practice highlights to come out. I just can't wait.
Stay tuned tomorrow, people. And we'll check you, man. If anything relevant comes out, we'll be back, man. Same time, same place.